All right. So for those who just joined today, I'm so sorry. I should have sent out emails. I didn't. Last class, we went through the principle of GRC, governance, risks and compliance, which actually encompasses over 60% of everything cybersecurity. Without GRC, cybersecurity, like an organization literally cannot really function. So just to summarize it, we said G is just has to, which is governance, where leadership has to put laws to meet their objectives, business objective. And then risks is just like you have to manage risks, just as you also manage risks in your house, you putting on seat belt, having surveillance cameras, having smoke detectors, you are managing your risks, having traffic light, but they tell you, you know what, you have to turn left, you have to turn right. Those are all governance and laws that have make it mandatory, but we have to follow those laws. That's how we manage risks. And a lot of us, or over 90% or 95% of us, will work managing organization risks. So it's all about managing risks. If we are current, we see everything happening in the world, the level of cyber attacks going on. Now they are attacking major USA airlines. As a matter of fact, I think Hawaiian and WebJets in Canada Airlines have been affected somehow, but they have not been able to determine. I think they said that no data has been exposed yet, but that's something that, they must have taken advantage of their weaknesses that they have, and then compliance, which focus on all the core regulatory frameworks. We're going to cover some today. Maybe for US here, we have HIPAA for healthcare organization. And then when we start the training, we'll start hearing of high trust. Yeah, you want to be in HIPAA compliance, but the main governing body that organization go in for to have a certification to show that they are applying or they are adhering to HIPAA is high trust. So we're going to see that high trust and high tech. Maybe when you were hearing of the ombudsman, is it ombudsman? When I work as a CNA, year of all those things is like it takes a lot. And then we talk of PCI DSS with that debit card and as well as credit cards. Each time you go into the gas station, you are inserting your card. Each time you go to Walmart, you are inserting your card. When somebody call you over the phone, you are providing your information. Everything has to be in compliance with PCI DSS. It's a must. As a matter of fact, I just posted something about a company that literally got hacked 3 good times. Like, I don't know if I posted in this group, but I did posted that. And just to tell, they were using default password, and then for US government, mandatory organization needs to adhere to FISMA or FedRAMP. We're going to see that shortly today. And then they have the associated publications that will help them stay in adherence with these different regulations. And then we also have one of the strongest privacy law in the world, GDPR for European Union, which is very good. And that's why I said that a lot of company, even in Europe or in America, they also adhere to the GDPR laws. It's very, very important. Even California, they do have DIAS. You have the California Consumer Privacy Act. That's a CCPA for California's resident. As a matter of fact, one of my students who got a job there, she cannot work out of California. That's a law that they do have. South Africa, they have theirs. A lot of countries also do have their privacy law. Canada, a lot of their, is it province or region, they also have theirs. And then apart from all of this, we would also talk in depth on SOC 2 Type 2 report because a lot of companies do have vendors. Without vendors, you will be out of business. You cannot even provide your own tools. For example, hospital, they do have tools. They have a lot of machines that they use. They cannot manufacture those machines. They are relying, on their vendors to provide them those services. But the beautiful thing is, before a hospital can bring in tools like that, security will have to perform assessment. I have 3 students working as third-party vendor risk analysts, just working with vendors. And that's a side in security that is very, very easy. You make some cool money doing nothing. If you're that type that you're not really a people person, you don't like talking to people, you just want to be sending email and all those things, then third party should be a good one for you. Okay. So that's a little bit of all what we covered. And then we also spoke about vulnerability, threat, and risks. Well, say vulnerability is just the weaknesses that, the flaws within a system. It's just like your house, you might have your door open, that's a vulnerability. But the truth is, a vulnerability can never cause harm. It has to be taken advantage of by something. It has to be exploited. And that's why we talk of threat. Also, say in an organization, employees are not being trained. They are not providing user awareness training. You all will bear with me that when you get your job, you always take that training. That's important. Oh, when I used to work as a CNA, I recall we always do fire drill. Imagine a situation where we are not performing fire drill, and in case of a fire, I will not even know that I'm not supposed to use the elevator. You can use the stairs. That's also, that's like vulnerability. Me not receiving that training is a vulnerability. There was a threat. If something happened, fire or whatever, I don't know, then I can take my resident or patients to go through the elevator in case something might happen which might result to risk. So in a nutshell, that's just exactly what we covered, but you guys can watch the video later. And after everything that we'll talk on Monday, then we have to build on the concept of CIA Triad. These are the core cybersecurity principle. And the beautiful thing about cybersecurity is that all the different frameworks that I did mention actually stand from, they are adhering to the core security principle. That's the principle of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But, this is an interesting conversation I had with the current batch students. You have GDPR, ISO, NIST, PCI DSS, high trust. But when you start talking about third party vendor actually adheres to 5: confidentiality, integrity, availability, privacy, and security. And I had this interesting discussion going on with them, and they were just like, it was an interesting one. So it doesn't matter what you do, where you work. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that data are being kept confidential, the integrity of those data are being maintained, and data is being available at any given point in time. That being said, and then guys, if you have any question, just unmute yourself, just ask your question as we go. So talking about confidentiality, who in this class doesn't have a bestie? I don't know. I do have one. My bestie, I know we can gossip. We can say stuff, right? And I know it's going to end between me and my bestie, like it's confidential talk. I can't wait when I have a hot gist. I was like, girl, I need to gist you. She's in all the way in Australia. So that is exactly what confidentiality does. So confidentiality ensures that sensitive information is only accessible to authorized individuals and is protected from unauthorized access or disclosure. And what's the goal? It safeguards privacy, sensitive data, ensuring only those with permission can access specific information. But to ask you for a question, confidentiality ensures that information is kept safe from unauthorized users. Who can tell me, what do you understand by unauthorized users? Who are these people we are referring to?
So anyone that is not supposed to say, let me give an example. In an organization, for instance, if you don't work in HR, you should not have employee details, right? You should not know where they come from, what status they have in terms of working permit or green card, things like that. That information is privy only to the HR and the HR department. So if you're in sales, you should be handling things that are sales related. So confidentiality in this particular scenario will be access for all the HR staff will lead them to be able to access information reference to employee data, while those for the marketing department will be in terms of maybe um, publicity materials and things like that, the kind of access that they can have. So that's just separating each department to have the required access that they need.
That's excellent, right? Because I don't want to know, some people, when you talk of confidentiality, they might maybe think that you are talking more of like people who are not working for your organization. No, in as much as we are protecting it from the external users, but it's important internally. Like me, my role, I'm giving access to just what I need to do. You hear the principle of like principle what? Least privilege. Just give people just their access. No, don't give humans unnecessarily permission or privileges. They will abuse it. And that's the whole essence of confidentiality. As she said, if you are in finance, have your own privileges. If you are HRO, if you are IT, help desk, support desk, or whatever, but just have your privileges that you will need to carry out your job. But let's also talk about confidentiality, vulnerability, threat, and risks. And remember, when we defined risks last class, I said that risk is directly proportional to CIA Triad. And you guys were going to see, even when we start with a first hands-on project, each time you hear a data breach has occurred, okay, mark this. Each time you hear on the news a data breach has occurred, the first thing you want to check which component or components of the CIA Triad has been tampered. The fact that data breach has been occurred doesn't mean that all the components has been, no, maybe it can be one, maybe it can be two, maybe it can be even three. Okay, so, and this is just cybersecurity in a nutshell. So for weaknesses, we did talk about weaknesses. Let's say the level of hospital setting said if a hospital medication systems lacks encryption, anyone with network access could view patients' records or medication or medication data in plain text. For Facebook, if password are stored in plain text, they can be stolen and used by unauthorized individuals. And you see why I did put this. If an unauthorized user get access to an information that they are not supposed to, confidentiality has been breached. That is a breach case, but it doesn't mean that it's a data breach or a lost. And that's level where you heard that data has been compromised, something has been compromised. Then we want to check like the severity. Maybe somebody just got access, like the case I was reading about this whole thing about this American Airlines. Yes, they got access to their systems, but they said no data has been compromised yet. But which component of the CIA has been affected? Confidentiality has been affected because these are unauthorized users. They are not supposed to get access to the organization system, but they do have access. They got again their access, but that's where we want to go further. Did they actually lead to a data breach or no? And by now, we're introducing some words. You hear the word of incident response, right? We are leading that an incident has happened, then you want to categorize it and see and classify and see the severity level. If a data breach has occurred or a data breach has it, but still this component has been affected. Okay. Why for threat? An external or internal actor or event that exploit a vulnerability to access confidential information. An employee accesses a patient's medical record without authorization and leaks them to the public. Do you see? Do you see that these are like different form of scenario we are talking about? This person got access. It can end at this level. They got access, right? Why did they get access at a level of encryption? I mean, vulnerability, because they do not have weakness. They do not have controls. So that's a weakness. Because they did not have controls, guess what? One can get access to that system. But remember, we said that threat, I mean, vulnerability on its own will not cause harm. Threat will have to provoke or exploit, take advantage of vulnerability. And that's why they said that. So because of this, guess what? Even an in-house employee, an internal employee can get access to that information and then leaks it to the public. Imagine they have all your demographic data. They have all information about you and they got the info and guess what? They're able to send it out there. And also for Facebook, a hacker uses phishing to trick a user into revealing their login credentials, gaining unauthorized access to their private messages and photos. Are you that type that somebody will be sending you a link on Facebook or any or WhatsApp, any social media platforms, and you'll be clicking? If you are, then you want to stop. Okay, no, do not trust anybody. Even me, do not trust me. So when somebody is sending a link, you really have to be careful. Don't click on links. Do not. Risks is the potential harms or consequences of a confidentiality breach. Still, at the level of the hospital setting, the unauthorized disclosure of patient records could lead to legal penalty. Do you see the risk level? Because at this point, yes, a threat actually took advantage of that vulnerability and then resulting to a security risk. But now the security risk, what kind of risks? And that's what we are talking now. Was the impact level, legal penalties, loss of patient trust, or even harm to the patient. Example, if a hacker gained access to sensitive messages, it could lead to identity theft, blackmail, or reputational damages. And now we want to define risks just by touching this one component of the CIA Triad. So a risk is the likelihood, remember, not probability. Probability just give you risks in measurable terms like 50%, 30%, 20%. So a risk is the probability that a threat will exploit a vulnerability that will result to the loss of either one component of the three component of the CIA Triad. So in this case of this scenario that we've discussed, a threat exploited a vulnerability that results to the loss or compromisation of confidentiality. Am I making sense? Does it make sense? Yeah, guys, if you are if you have any question down, let me know. So that's why I said we need to understand this, because there's this direct proportion that we have to understand, and for us to start managing risks. You interviews will tell you maybe how do you manage risks. I always tell my students, you first of all identify. How do you identify risks? Okay, because we'll be managing risks. As I said, a lot of our roles, 90% of what we're gonna do is just managing organization risks. Okay, and that's why we keep having a job, because there are always gonna be risks. But with what we have, still, how is confidentiality maintained? Right? We said confidentiality is just to prevent unauthorized access or just to keep your data safe. Still, but one method that confidentiality can be achieved is through the process of encryption. Who in this class have never heard of the word encryption? Or if you heard the word encryption, what is encryption? What's encryption?
I'm sorry, I spent this 2.8.
Encryption is a way of scrambling information so that it can't be hacked or seen by anyone who's not authorized to see it or view it.
That's excellent. So scrambling information, in a nutshell, somebody just sent me a message, so I'm about to share the link.
For taking your money.
Yeah, so in encryption, right, you scramble it, it render that data useless. That's the way I always put it. It make it useless, but it doesn't mean that that data on its own is useless, but it's useless if an unauthorized person get it. So if an unauthorized, being a hacker, a person get that data, it is useless. They cannot read from it. And that's why they talk of the word scrambling. Do you have a 2-year-old at home and you give them your passport at a pen? Do you know what they're going to do on that passport? They don't know any better. So exactly, they're going to scramble and scratch everything off your passport. So likewise, encryption scramble, like it scramble the data. Pretty much, it renders the data useless. Say if an unauthorized user could get hold of that particular data. For example, all patient records are encrypted. So even a hacker intercept the data, it cannot be read without the encryption key. Facebook encrypts messages on or Messenger, ensuring that only the sender and recipient can read them. Likewise, you guys on YouTube, on WhatsApp enable end-to-end encryption, but there's so much gymnastic and things that happen behind the scene that we don't even need to know as of now. Myself, I don't think I even understand very well. So with that, when I send you the message, it is being encrypted, it's been secured, and you guys will receive the message. And it is because, again, as I always said, anything that goes over the internet, you don't have control over that thing. You do not. So sending everything over the internet, even at times have something stored, even on your shared drive or your storage, still you got to be careful. It has to be encrypted. If not, those guys, when they get there, they'll be able to hack it. I'm saying so from my database experience, even when you have data stored in the database, it has to be encrypted, because those guys, when they are trying to break into your network and all those things, they are actually going to your database, because the database is a powerhouse. The database literally store all the data. So you might have the best stringent controls, the best networking and security controls implemented, but if your database is also not encrypted, when they get access to your database, they will definitely get access to your data. And that reminds me, Uber data breach. I don't know if you all were able to read on Uber data breach. Hackers got there into their AWS S3 bucket, and backup were not encrypted. That's how they were able to get people's information. So that's just to tell you how important it is to be able to have all the security controls. Still on encryption, when someone say hello, this is a plain text, and an encrypted text is known as a ciphertext. So hello, these are the characters that you receive. I don't know if anybody can read this. I don't know, but I guess I don't know, but I know for sure I cannot read it. So say I want to send you all this message. Do you see with that lock, it shows that it's encrypted. This is exactly what happened when I'm sending you people messages. When you receive it in second, is being encrypted, and which time is it being encrypted, you have all these characters that are being generated, and once you receive it, you decrypt it and you can read from the message. So in a real world, are we going to be enable encryption? No, GRC, but those are controls that you can definitely access, work with the technical guys to make sure that encryptions are being implemented. Are we the one implementing this control? Not necessarily. We are the advising organization, telling them of the kind of controls they need to implement, work with the technical folks to make sure that those controls are being implemented. And if by now, our job, what we're going to be doing is just more controls, assessing control, advising organization, managing their risks. Controls, that's how you manage your risks. You want to make sure, have they implemented encryption? If yes, but is it effective? Is it working? That's why you keep assessing it to make sure that your controls are working effectively. Okay. And then another way that confidentiality is being maintained is through the concept of access control. As a matter of fact, per the NIST standards, currently the new NIST revision 5, we have over 20 control families. Access control, I'm not gonna lie to you, it is a beast. Access control has over 25 families, and inside access control, you have a lot. I am accessing controls. When I'm done with access control, you could tell you have to break, because it's a technical control. Especially if you have to deal or accessing a high system, we will go there later to know more about the information system. Access control alone can have close to 300 to 400 controls. Yes, but because I have access control so much, there are controls that I just need to close my eyes. I really don't know what I'm looking for, and that's a beautiful thing, because you keep doing it. It doesn't matter which framework an organization goes with. Beautiful thing is you start mapping those controls, then realize that you can map out all the controls. So when ISO are telling you of the Annex A controls, High Trust is telling you, PCI DSS is telling you, then you can map all those controls together. And once you map it, it's the same artifacts that you're going to be needing. So when you have different external assessor coming in to assess your organization system, if you're helping your organization to achieve certification, and you've already streamlined your processes, and guess what, when they are coming, you just send them the same artifact. And your organization will think that you are the smartest, but of course, you just learn to make money the smart way. Okay. So with access controls, says that these are mechanisms to ensure only authorized individuals can access specific data or system. And there are three components of access controls. Control. We have the concept of identification. When you want to log in on Facebook, what's the first thing you have to put?
Your email or your ID?
Passport.
Excellent. Your email or your ID. Or if you want to log in on your phone, your laptop or something, I think you have to put your code and everything. So this is exactly as how it works in a real world. Even like some of us working remotely, even when you go on site, for you to be able to get access to your organization system, you have to go through this process. First you have to provide your identity, and that's why you put in your unique ID or email. And each time you put that unique ID or email, it goes through now the process of authentication. So with authentication, once you put your username and your ID, what are you going to put next?
Password.
Your password. Excellent. And that reminds me, have we all enabled MFA, multi-factor authentication on Facebook or social media?
I
If
have.
not, guys, you have to do it. You have to do it, please. If not, you have to do it. MFA is that important. That's how you manage your risks. Because the truth is, for some of you that you've not enabled, you cannot just rely with your username and your password. If somebody get access to your password, they'll get access to your account. But with MFA enable, even if they have your username and password, they'll still need that additional piece of information to be able to access your account. And if you do not have access to your phone, or maybe, oh, somebody, can you mute, please? If they don't have access to your phone, of course, they won't be able to log in. So likewise, MFA, if you hear the word two-factor authentication, if you don't know, two-factor, multi-factor authentication, that's just an additional layer of security. And likewise, same thing, when you put in your identity, your username or your password, your unique username or ID, then you need to put in your password. So when you put in that password, and again, to further authenticate yourself, maybe you put in the MFA code that you can get it from your authentication app or a one-time generated code, then you'll be able to log in. This is how it happens also. This is a process of access control. You have to first of all identify your identity and then prove your identity by putting your password. And each time your password has been authenticated, then it goes through the process of authorization. So with authorization, now you are on Facebook, you can watch your own videos, your friends' photos, and all those things. But had it been if somebody put in a wrong password, if you put in a wrong password, you won't be able to log in. If they send the code and you put in the wrong code, still you won't be able to log in. So likewise, but if that has been verified, then you can log into that system. And now in a computer world or your organization world, you start hearing of identity access management. That's a role in cybersecurity that is highly automated also. I had students, I think I've had students from that particular area in security. So once you are being authenticated, then you can log into your organization system. And what I always tell people at the level of the authorization, it comes with accountability. And don't be fooled, guys. Anything or everything you do can be tracked. Anything or everything you do is being tracked. You cannot send information away from your company network. If that company is good, they have good controls in place, I promise you they will know it. So I always tell people, just be responsible while you are there. Just be responsible. You are there to make your money, to put food on your table. Do it and live. Don't go and be doing crazy stuff. So authorization comes with a lot of accountability. You cannot say that it wasn't me like Shaggy. Whatever thing you do there, yes, they can come out with an artifact, because in cybersecurity, that's why I can't trust you. If you tell me I have controls in place, I don't trust you. I have to test. I have to get the artifact, the evidence to make sure, okay, yes, this thing is actually implemented. So likewise, once you are in, just be responsible. Don't do any crazy stuff. Understand your organization policy. If your policy is that you do not work offshore, don't go and say that I'm going to use, how they call, some people say they're going to use VPN to hide it or whatever. You are risking it. I, for one, I can only work in the US. I cannot take my laptop out of the US. So that's a policy I know. I'm not going to risk my job, my life, and everything because I just want to do stupid things. No, you can take your time off and then go and enjoy yourself, but just understand your organization policy. And I'm saying so, I think I'm going to record. Even when I was working as an Oracle DBA in one of my jobs, I didn't know security. One of my friends, they attended that our corporate office was just like behind my apartment was literally behind our office. They were kind of asking, Eunice, are you in the office? I was like, yes, I was at home working. Little did I know that they track our geographic location. You know, they were tracking that. Yes. So each day, Eunice, where are you? I was like, I'm in the office. But I was at home. It was only when I got into security, I was like, oh my goodness. I just couldn't believe it. Yeah, so that's to tell you that you cannot even lie because anything that you do is being tracked, and of course they can produce that evidence. Okay. And then when it comes to real life practical example, still in the course of hospital setting, for vulnerability, if access controls are poorly configured, say for example, CNA might accidentally or intentionally access sensitive information or records. I recall working as a CNA, I will have access to just like put in, you know, maybe they are feeding, you shower them and all those things. My access is limited. I don't expect to have the same access as a nurse or a medical technician or a doctor. And that's the whole process of concept of us making sure that you have just your privileges or permission, you know, for your role. And then for the threats, if this CNA have unlimited access, an authorized person view or alter a patient's medication, these are possible things that can happen because I don't know any better. I can do it accidentally or intentionally. Oh, you know what, this patient, I don't like this patient. Guess what? Then you want to do something really bad. And what's the risk now? Do you see? A breach in confidentiality could lead to the wrong medication being administered, harming the patient and exposing the hospital to legal action. So say, for example, this CNA actually got unlimited privileges. Accidentally, I don't want to say intentionally, accidentally they altered a medication, you know, go to that chart, alter it, and that patient is allergic to a certain medication. There, which you've already altered it, things have changed, right? You change it, medication aid will not even know that the alter because I'm just going with what I've seen, you know, for that person, your patient chart. If that patient is allergic to that medication and you administer the medication and that person dies, and know that the highest form of data breach that can occur is when somebody dies. Okay, organization can lose billions of dollars, but a person's life is what any amount of money organization can lose. So if somebody dies, that's the highest form of breach that can occur. So do we see in this situation a breach has occurred? And what's the severity of that breach? Is definitely high. And when they are investigating, then they came to realize that the organization did not have access control enabled. Of course, your organization will be entitled to pay, you know, to legal actions and paying all the penalties, and even the family might also sue them. So these are just some of the things that we will be working to make sure that organizations have the necessary security controls in place. But some of the ways that we can mitigate encryption, that reminds me, I did mention mitigation and remediation. What's the difference between mitigation and remediation? These are two key security terms. What do we mean by
Mitigation,
mitigate and remediate? Yes, go ahead, please.
I think mitigation would be preemptive measures to take before the risk takes place, while remediation is the after fact, how to
Mm,
fix what might have happened.
so still, yeah. Who wants to add? If not, I'll be that's an assignment.
Um, can I add something?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, remediation is kind of wiping out the root cause, but the mitigation doesn't wipe out the root cause. Just put control out there to, I can say, to minimize the um, the attacks or something like that.
So I want you all to define in terms of risks. One, you resolve your risks in totality. One, you reduce your risks. So which
So
one?
mitigation is to reduce the impact or
Medication is,
likelihood.
Yeah.
maybe you were right, but I just wanted to get that. Mitigation, you
Action
are
is you
reducing.
eliminate it, the root cause.
Yes. Why remediation? You are taking care of everything. So these
Okay.
are key terms that you're gonna work with, right? There are times that your organization is mitigating it. We know that we have these risks, but we are reducing it, right? Because maybe we cannot afford. For example, if you guys were to say we are working from home, COVID hit, we all work from home, we are supposed to have VPN. But guess what? Organization cannot afford VPN at that time because we're all working on site, 100% in the office. You guys know the way COVID came, it was so, short notice. So how can your company mitigate that risk? Because the risk of people working from home and not using a VPN, virtual private network, is crazy. It's very high. But for us to mitigate the risks, we enable MFA. Make sense? We are reducing the risks. That doesn't mean that we are taking care of the risks in totality. But for us to completely take care of the risks, then we'll have to enable MFA. MFA is a better control. We do not have it, so we are looking for an alternative. And that's why we are going with, VPN, we are supposed to go with VPN, but because we could not afford it, then we are looking for an alternative, which is MFA. Make sense? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes,
Ooh,
it makes sense to me.
somebody help me. Yo, you people, you're making teaching so boring. All right. So, a way of mitigating, we can encrypt patient records. You also hear of role-based access control. We're gonna go there, when we start discussing controls. Of course, you want to give CNAs just their privileges, nurses their privileges, and other maybe doctors and so on. And then we also want to enable MFA, for the different system. And still, just to go through the scenario, say if Facebook does not encrypt messages, hackers intercepting the network traffic could reach your messages. A hacker using phishing or malware to gain access to your account and view your private conversation. And for the risks, a hacker uses your sensitive messages for blackmail or exposes them to the public, which can lead to reputational damage. Right? And then talking about medication, that's the same thing that we've covered. And then with this, it literally summarizes everything we've covered: confidentiality, protect sensitive data from unauthorized access, and then we'll see how the concept of vulnerability, threat, and risks are also directly proportional to this component of the CIA Triad. And with that, we have to go into what to touch or talk on integrity in the CIA Triad. So confidentiality, prevent unauthorized access to sensitive information. It's been maintained through the process of encryption and access control. Access control have three components: identification, authentication, and authorization. Identification, unique username or ID or username or email. Authentication, you have to prove your identity by putting in your password. And in many cases, organizations also have additional layer of authenticating yourself. That's MFA. And once that is being, once there's a match, then you can authorization. You are being allowed to access resources within your organization. And authorization comes with accountability. Why for integrity? Now, the second component of the CIA Triad is just to make sure that data remain accurate, consistent, trustworthy throughout its life cycle. It prevents unauthorized modification of corruption or corruption of information, but the purpose to ensure that data is reliable and has not been tampered with either intentionally or accidentally. This is a beautiful one. So talking about integrity, remember confidentiality, encryption will say you encrypt data, but we want to see how that same encrypted data, of course, they can bypass encryption algorithm. They can bypass it. They can break stuff. And that's why the concept of integrity comes. Imagine we need to make sure that all these three components are being fulfilled. And that's why we call them the backbone or the core principle in cybersecurity. So one way integrity is being achieved or maintained is through the process of hashing. So hashing, with this, I'm going to say this. When I work as an Oracle DBA before, I'll practice this, but I didn't know what I was doing. So our vendor, we manage the Oracle databases. So there are times that I will go to the Oracle website, of course, with my credential that my company have provided. I will download software. Maybe I want to even install a new database. I will go there, I will download it through, they have different tools, is it WinSCP or whatever, and then I'll bring it to the server side. But the truth is that thing has been downloaded over the internet. And I have to check. I cannot just, it comes in a zip format, in a zip file. I cannot just go and unzip that file and start working on it. No. So I'll have a string. I'm just saying it before we even go there. This is me doing all of this without even knowing like it was security. So it will give you a code, and then you have to compare the code because each time you are getting from Oracle, Oracle has already generated a code. They call it hash value. And then once I zip it, I bring it to my server, it generates another hash value that has 2 hash values. And with that two hash values, I have to compare it. If there is a match, it means that that file has not been tampered. It has not been modified. But if there is a maybe instead of 1 and there's just like 0.1 or something, if there's a mismatch, I cannot trust the integrity of that file. And this is exactly what happened in every while. So it's not like people will be doing manually. They already have tools and machine that checks. So even encrypted text, when they're sending encrypted text, you have to hash that text. Though that text is being encrypted, there's no guarantee that when that text is going over the internet, somebody has not bypassed it. And that's why hashing comes in. So hashing, a process that converts data into fixed size string of characters known as hash value or checksum. Even the smallest change in the original data result in a completely different hash value. Was the purpose to verify that data has not been altered. For example, in a hospital, before transmitting patient records electronically, a hash value is generated for the file. After receiving the file, the system recalculates the hash. If the value or hash values match, the data is intact, but if not, it has been tampered with. And if the system identifies that that data has been tampered with, it will block it. It will flag it. And then, of course, send it to the security team. They will have to investigate it. Because if there's a mismatch, you don't have somebody going over the internet, they've altered it, they've embedded malicious code. You cannot trust the integrity of that file. Okay? And we're going to see a simple example. For example, this is exactly what we are talking about. If you have a plain text, it goes through the hashing algorithm. That's a hashing algorithm. And each time it goes through that, it produces a hash value. It generates a hash value. So when we talk of 2 hash values, first one before and after. So each time it's going over the internet, before it even leaves, it has already generated a hash value. And then when it goes to the recipient or after, it generates a second hash value. So you need to compare both hash values. So the system will have to compare. Okay. So I have a couple of examples for this. And they said hash integrity is achieved. We'll talk about hash values. We'll definitely revisit it in the future. Another example also goes through audit logs. And remember, when I told you people that once you are authorized, you have access to your organization system, there comes accountability. And because of this thing, audit logs, you have been audited. Your actions will be audited. It's been tracked. So there's just no way you can tell me that I am shaggy, even when they caught you in the eye, like it wasn't me, right? It is you. No, it was you. You did something and they will produce it, right? So we cannot say that. And that's why I said that records all changes to data, including who made the changes, when they were made, and what was altered. Audit logs literally audit everything. And that's why they talk of log. If you have surveillance cameras, I have ADT as a matter of fact, when you go to your save videos, those are all logs, right? When you go to the timestamp, you can see everything that happens. Like mine, if a car passes, everything, it just triggers. So I just go there, I delete, but you can definitely see all the different logs. And the beautiful thing with audit logs is that it will even give you the timestamp. At this time, this thing happened. Like you can definitely check everything. And this is one of the things that, again, the more technical guy, even forensic expert will use it. When they are coming up with evidence and credible sources that tell you this thing happened at this time, not that they went through the audit logs, they were able to analyze the data and they were able to come up with their evidence, right? And that's why I say, for example, in a database, every modification to patient prescription is logged, identifying the staff member responsible. Do you see? So you cannot go there and tell me that you make or modified a prescription and say it wasn't you. No, all your information is tied and they know you are the one that did that. Right? So please, I beg of you, if you get a job, you just have to be responsible as much as you can. Just be there, do your job and leave, okay? Another aspect has to do with digital signature, especially when
Can I,
you're sending
can
Yes,
I
go
jump
ahead,
in
please.
really? I'm sorry, I put my hand up, but you probably can't see it. So
No, I
before we
didn't. You,
keep
you can
going,
just unmute and ask. Yes, go please.
okay. Okay. My question is about hashing. Um, when the system discovers that something's been changed, right? And so it doesn't send the file where it was going to go, it'll send it to security. Does the person who's supposed to be receiving that file, what do they see? Like, do they see some type of notification that says this file was sent to security, or what do they see on their end, on
No,
the
you don't
receiving?
see. Even block it. Even block it. By the time you get it, you don't even, because you know the system again, they do everything, make sure the file is being delivered to you. You will not even receive it. Because if you receive it, you're gonna open it. And that's why I
Right,
say it block it, it flags it. So you don't even know,
right.
and you will not know that it's been sent to security.
Ah, okay,
So
okay.
many of a lot of things that people do, you don't know is being sent to security. For example, say you want to send out sensitive information. Maybe you work, let's just say from HR department, you guys have access to people's social security number, all those things. You want to send it out. You think you are sending, guess what? It is being flagged and security will
Ah,
receive it. And we will know you are the one trying to send out the sensitive information. And when they call you, what are you going to tell them? From your end, you feel like it went through. Yeah, but it has gone there and then they'll have to investigate it.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've seen situations where even people, if your company said don't work offshore, some people are crazy. Yeah, you can still bypass it. You can go take VPN and all those things. But if that company have good controls, I promise you they will know. I promise you they will know. Don't even be on Zoom with your laptop and be calling somebody who's not in your company to join it. As a matter of fact, I think Microsoft, I was just so happy with the new modification that they have. Teams, Microsoft Teams nowadays, if we are doing video calling and everything, the admin folks within our organization can get access to our call. They can definitely analyze everything that we discuss. So it's not even longer private anymore. Still for better security. Yeah.
I know people that have been fired because of that. They will take jobs out of the country.
Yep. Yep. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Right. You cannot, yeah. Even my job, I said my laptop, it stays in America. I cannot take it out because that's our policy. I cannot even take it out of the US. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, so I always tell people just be responsible. Yeah, so as you said, it will go to security. Yeah. And that's why I relate my experience. I didn't know. Whether like, Eunice, where are you? I'm at the office. I was home, but I didn't know that even my geographic location was being checked. They knew exactly, just like, anyway, because I was a good employee, I guess, but I did not know. Only when I got into security, and still when I changed role, I changed company, I went to a new company. When COVID hit, I was working for an India-based company then, Infosys. Then when COVID hit, some folks actually went to India without telling the supervisor. And the company I was working for, we could not work out of the US also. So that's how they fired too. They went to India and they were fired. And they sent us email, guys, you cannot let your manager know. You bet. Because company policy, they say, well, if they say that you cannot work out of the US, you cannot work. So they will get people offshore. I don't know if you guys also, there's something I read. Don't want to get too political. I think I'm gonna mute the recording. Yeah, I read that somewhere. Then another one has to do with digital signature, just like your fingerprint, your email, guys. Digital signature. This is what I tell you, that once you send that email, it is you. When they give you a laptop, you log in, all of this has been put together, tied to your identity and everything. So add a unique electronic signature to data to verify its authenticity and integrity. A signed email ensures the recipient knows it was sent by the claimed sender and has not been modified during transit. So these are all measures that they do put in place. But talking about vulnerability and weaknesses, how it also relates to identity. Still, we said that. Go ahead,
About
please.
digital signature. So you mean that cannot be, if I cannot alter that?
Alter what?
Like you're saying that if I send an email to you and I have the digital signature, so how will it authenticate? Oh, it's coming from Betsy, but another person can be using that and get to you. So how can we explain that better?
Oh, so digital signature, when they talk of authenticity and integrity, just to make sure that you are the one that send the email and I receive it, right? You state that integrity, but before, when you send it again, remember the process of hashing, everything is also being hashed. When you send that email, for me to receive it, it's been encrypted and it's been hashed. So for me to receive it, the system has already compared the hash values. But in a situation where the system flag it and feel like Bessie have sent that email, somebody has altered it, it's going to block it. I will not even receive it. And then sending that to security will have to investigate. So the system actually does everything, but with us, we don't even know. So with your digital signature is just to make sure. Remember, tomorrow you don't want to send email, do things like, no, what, that wasn't me. It's just to prove that you are the person that did that.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But not in the context of altering and all those things. No, you can alter, you can send email, no, I alter all those things. But I'm just talking a situation where, imagine when you click send, it goes over the internet, right? Then the integrity has to be maintained. But if you are sending it to me, you don't know. You know you've sent me a message. But the system knows that, okay, no, I have to hash it. But it doesn't mean that somebody is not trying to intercept me and you, man in the middle attack. The person might be trying to intercept your message, modify it. I will receive it. I will not even know that it's been modified. I will reply that it goes to the person modified, just do like a replay back and forth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. Hospitals store patient record in an unprotected system, allowing anyone to modify the files. That's crazy. Events or actors that exploit vulnerability to alter the data, that's threat. A hacker changes medication dosage in patient record. A system glitch corrupts financial transaction. And then think of a situation like in a bank. They got access and they modified transaction. Just think of the catastrophic that is going to go, right? And likewise, so the risks, again, if it's been altered, things will happen, financial loss due to altered transaction or records. But for us to understand integrity and hashing properly, these are not things that, again, as I said, we won't be doing this, but we need to understand what is happening. Okay? Hash value is a unique string of characters generated from input data using a hash function. For example, these are the hash values that have been generated. If you send, for example, just the word hello, you see, it generates a different hash value. Do you see, instead of hello, I put HB, it's been altered. It generates another hash value. Then do you see, so H, even just a letter that got altered, it produces or generates a different hash value. But some of the properties of a hash is the deterministic effect, which means that the same input always produces the same hash. If I say hello, remember I told you people the first hash value, when you receive it hello, that's the second hash value, it should be the same. It's also unique. Even a minor change in input data result in a completely different hash. For example, if you see a hello, and then instead of E, we have a B, that's a different hash value that has been produced. And it's also non-reversible. It's a one-way thing. A hash value cannot be converted back to original data. So it won't go and then come back like encryption. It doesn't happen. So it's a one-way thing. Once a hash value has been generated, it just go. The other hash value data is being, it's been delivered. So it's a one-way thing. It's not reversible. And I want you guys to
sorry.
go ahead, please.
If you
Go
would
ahead.
have, if that fourth one down would have been hello, the exact same way as the first one, that hash code would have been the exact same.
Your question again, please.
So you know how, go back one more screen. Okay, so see how you got the 3 different hashes. Say the fourth one, you did it the correct way. So you actually put hello in there. It's not there, but you just made a fourth one. I'm just putting that out there. Would that hash code there be the exact same? So the fourth one would basically mimic the first one, is what I'm saying.
Oh, if I'm sending hello, hash value has been generated. If I come and write hello, another hash value, that's a different message.
So it's gonna be a different one. Okay.
That's a different message because again, it's going over the internet. So those are all different messages.
Okay.
But this one, the hello is been hatched.
Right.
In transit, somebody utter it. Instead of hello, they put this B. The system already has this original hash value.
Yeah. I got that part. I was just wondering that if you were to write hello again the correct way, would that hash code be the same or would different? That's what I was wondering.
So I want you guys to take a look. Please let me know what has changed. Just pay attention. Tell me. The first one, we have FOX. We have cryptographic hash function. We have the value. So the next one, look at it very well. Number 2, number 3, something kept changing. And you realize each time it changes, something also happens.
Yeah, the over changes. The word over is changing.
Excellent. You guys see? The red fox jumps over the blue duck. Then we have the hash value. But you see the red fox jump, instead of over, instead of V, we have U right here. Can you pause it? The first one we have V, the second one we have U, right? The red fox jump, you see, so each time there is a change, if it's a minor change, it produces a different hash value. And that's one of the key ways that integrity is being maintained. Even if this file has been encrypted, I tell you, it can be bypassed. And that's why I said even encrypted files will be hashed, just to make sure the integrity of that file is being maintained. Okay? And still, I want you guys to tell me what is happening here. We have explanation is there already. Input data. Hello, well. But if you come here, you see, instead of the uppercase hello, we have a lowercase hello world. And just the fact that we change it, it's the same word, like hello world, but instead of an uppercase, you have a lowercase, so you have a new hash value. Okay. Likewise, in terms of password, you know what, when a user set a password, this is a beautiful one. Again, I'm saying so because I did work as an Oracle DBA. When you put your password, at times you go to Google, right? Chrome, you just hash your password, you auto save your password. Each time the system saves your password, it doesn't save it as a plain, in plain text. It's a hash format that is being saved in the database. That's what happens. And that makes sense because if somebody wants to reset their password, say you forgot your password, right? Like we have some key user in the database that we need to have a unique password. Maybe I forgot a password and I want to reset that password, reset it in a way that just to maintain the same password. I will go to the database, I will get the hash value of that particular user, that password. So I will reset it using the hash value. So truth is, once password are being saved, it's being hashed. It is hashed. So even when you are logging in on Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever, your password, actually the system get the hash, blending with your password, then you can log in. Because that password has been hashed, it already knows. If you put in a wrong password, the reason why they'll say, you know what, denied, because it did not match with the hash. Okay, so instead of UNIS1, I just put UNIS. It will not match because it already has a hash value that was generated as of the time I log in. And that's exactly what happens when they say that, you know what, sorry, maybe you cannot log in and all those things because the system has verified and the hash, you know, it didn't, there's not, there's a mismatch. And that's why you could not log into the system or your account. And likewise, even like downloading files and also transferring files, again, they already have all those machine in place that definitely checks to make sure that integrity is being maintained. And this covers about, you know, downloading of files. I think we spend a lot, you know, so much time talking about this, right? But let's say, for example, a doctor updates a patient prescription in an electronic health record system. A hash value is generated for the prescription data. Any authorized or unauthorized modification is, for example, a dosage change by a hacker will result in a hash mismatch, altering the system. Access controls ensure only the doctor or pharmacist can update the prescription, right? And likewise with e-commerce, an online retailer processing customer payment, transaction records are also hashed before storage. When you put your information, everything, it's gonna be hashed. So they can't save it like in plain text, because if those guys get in the database and it is saved in plain text, then that company is like, it's crazy. That's why though it's being hashed. If a cyber criminal attempts to alter the transaction amount, the hash will no longer match, flagging the change. And each time you flag that change, you know something is going on. Okay. And likewise, if you also want to transfer file, happen. Right? We'll talk about passwords. And the one thing about blockchain, just to talk a little bit about this slide, it's just of recent that I took some time to read more and understand what blockchain is. And one of the powerful quality or criteria has to do with integrity. You know, if you guys see, it has the block, you know, block before, block after, and everything. So because of this hashing algorithm, right? I say blockchain technology relies on hashing to ensure the integrity of transaction records. And that's why you have a lot of people, maybe Bitcoin, people are online, you are doing what, but you cannot modify it. You will see it, you cannot do it because of this. You know, you have that hashing that has been enabled such that integrity is maintained at any given point in time. If not, think of all the cyber criminals that we do have. Things, it will be rough, okay? Any questions so far before we touch on availability and take a short break?
Nope.
Are we good? All right, nice. So availability of data. So remember, we talk of the core security principle, we talk the principle of confidentiality, integrity, and then the next one is availability. Ensures that authorized user can access data, system, and resources whenever they are needed without delays or interruptions. So keep services and data operational, even during the disruption, ensuring business continuity. And some of the ways that availability is being ensured is through the process of redundancy, having duplicate server. Even when I work as a database, you know, we have high availability solution. Like that's one of the things that a lot of companies are going to cloud, you know, because you have the prospect of your data always being available at any given point in time. AWS, for example, they have regions in America. I don't know how many regions now, I don't know. Then inside that regions, they have what they call availability zone, you know, where they store their data and it's being replicated. You have one region, you have your data like in so many places, so that even if one region goes down, then there's always a prospect of you having your data available. And because cybersecurity again and all these GRC has making mandatory for organizations to make sure folks have access to their data at any given point in time. And that's why they need to be able to employ some of these high availability solutions to make sure that data is available at any given point in time. A typical example has to do with backups. Why do we back up our WhatsApp? We discussed that. In a case where you have to get a new phone or a special phone, then you can just go to the email that you use, because WhatsApp actually back up either on your iCloud or your Google Drive or whatever. But with that email, you should be able to recover and restore from your backups. So likewise, organization will also do backups. That's why you see they have policies. They have to back up their data. And not only back it up, but you also have to test, the validity of your backups, right? And those are controls. When I'm assessing controls, especially contingency plan, family, you want to check, are they doing that? So those are controls that I'll have to test, and I have to collect the artifacts or read it on your policy, and I want to verify to make sure that you guys are performing backups, right? So just as we are backing up our WhatsApp or any other thing that we back up, likewise, organization also do that. In a situation where, something goes down, they can always recover from their backup. Disaster recoveries is also a big one that is mandatory. Organization will have to perform disaster recovery test. Even when I work as a DBA, again, these are things that we did a lot. I have no clue why we were doing those, right? So there are times that we will do disaster recovery, we'll fill up our database, go to the secondary side, fill it back, work with application admins guys for them to also perform a failover of their applications. Again, these are all security control. These are all mandatory stuff. These are things that you need to do to make sure that data will be available at any given point in time. And the beautiful thing is that stuff like this are being done every year, annually. And that's why I said we will always get job. Because by the time you are accessing, this year is about to finish, next year you already have this system that you keep accessing over and over and over again. I've had system where I've accessed where they provide me, like the disaster recovery plan test. If it is outdated or expired, I'm going to fail the control. And I want you guys to give me a current disaster recovery plan that you've done. And again, I tell you people, policies are the moment of truth, because if your policy says that you are doing this every year and then you're giving something that is 1.5 years or 2 years, then I cannot even rely on that. How am I even sure that particular, if something happened, you'll be able to perform a failover? Okay, and that's security for you guys. And it makes sense because Texas or America, we have a lot of natural disasters. That's why you have organizations, we have offices in different parts, in the country. If something happened to their disaster primary location, they can perform a failover from their secondary, right? And also talking about load balancer, again, where you have those system or servers, you want to have load. You don't want a situation where a system is overly used and that system can crash. And if it happens, especially like website, then of course, just imagine like in a Black Friday, that system, there's so much traffic. You hear the word load balancer, you balance the load. So definitely crashes, and of course, unavailability. And remember, cybersecurity, data availability is one important to make sure we have it at any given point in time, right? Also, monitoring and maintenance are those things that we want to check. Security, as I said, continuous monitoring is a thing that we'll always do over and over again, because those guys, they are not sleeping. They aren't sleeping. So we want to always continuous do like conman. And then you are also maintaining, you are applying patches, you are scanning, you just keep checking and resolving and just keep managing your risks. That's exactly what we will do until we retire in the field of cybersecurity. Okay. So this again talks about threat rates. Think of a situation where organizations have a relaxed system, and then I think we guys must have heard of denial of service or distributed denial of service. If not, go and do some research on those. Again, overwhelm system or server, and if you hear the word denied, even authorized users are not able to log in. Okay. Natural disaster also can damage an organization data center, and the cost of doing that, data can also be unavailable. But do they have a disaster recovery site? And these are all examples of breaches. That's why when you hear that a data breach has occurred, the first thing you want to find out is which component of the CIA Triad has been tampered, and what's the impact level, what's the severity. So I bet you each time you are reading an article about data breaches or cybercrime or whatever, know that it's been tied to CIA Triad. So take advantage, go read it, and you realize that, you know what, this component has been affected. And that's how you classify your risks, okay? Yeah, so this again, these are things that we've covered. And then about backup, we'll talk about disaster recovery side, you see. Again, approach to restoring services and data after a significant event operations. So literally, again, these are things that we've covered. I'm just having a lot, you know, even testing and drill. I also did mention, even when you work at a hospital, when we are doing those drill and all those things, again, and we hear the word incident response, we are just being proactive. It's not like something is going to happen, but when it happens, do we know what we need to do? And that's the question, right? That's literally how we're covering. I don't know if I have a question for you guys. Nope, I did not. That's too bad. So with this, do you all have any question before we take our break?
Yes, I do have a question, but not directly related to what you just said. So my question
Go
is,
ahead.
do we have study materials when we do sign up for the actual courses when they begin?
Plenty and plenty until like Eunice is enough. I told my students, don't buy no book, no textbook, okay? Everything is on the website. Everything, you have videos, you have material, you have projects, so you have everything on the website. Yeah, that you can download your materials, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
And then another next question is, what are the duration for classes? How many hours?
All right, so what we cover, we're gonna take a break and come back. Our classes runs, we have classes Mondays and Wednesdays, 3 hours each. And I'll say our program runs for up to 6 months and even beyond. But the beautiful thing is that within the first 4 months, I try to push students to the interview phase. I've had students got offer letter while they are still taking training. You know, first, I do not rush. I go with the pace of each batch. Some batch, you have students that are so energetic, they just want to get out of. But still, there are some batch that, again, so much is happening, right? And we all understand the time we live in. So, and we are adults. Life is difficult. We have to take care of the family. We have to work. So it's not the same. So, but not that it stretches to like 6 months. And then the one thing that I always tell students that will help them succeed in their field and that make our program so long is the fact that people will be doing hands-on projects. So we have students in groups, they'll do the hands-on projects, and everybody will have to present in class. So it's a must. Yeah, and our presentation, now people are not on camera, but our presentation, we have some rules and regular, like some laws, right? We want people on cameras and all those things, because if you are behind camera, you are taking interviews. How are you going to conduct yourself? Right, so that's the thing. And when they are doing those projects, many a times I have to cancel classes for people to catch up with their project, because I cannot go to project 2 if they have not presented project 1. If you realize, if you watch last class video, it's just a continuation, and that's how our program is going to look like. Everything you do is a continuation. So project 2 builds on project 1. Project 3 builds on project 1 and 2. Right. So you need to first of all understand project 1 before we can go to project 2. You know, so when you guys do it, when I give the project, student will have to do it, they have to come present, then I'll teach and then provide project 2. They will do it, present, likewise project 3, and that's how we do. That's what we do here.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Yeah. Everything is hands-on. Hands-on. And I know there are people that will come. I always tell them, don't feel like this person is, nobody is smart, okay? I'm not a smart type either. But be that person that you can communicate, be that person that if you have any difficulties going on, let your group members know. You know, they don't need to know you have this issue, but just at least communicate. Because if you don't communicate, myself, I wouldn't know. People will not know. No, because what I've realized is that some student might be relying on you. You guys are working as a group. You have some challenges, then you fail your group. You know, so that's some of the things that we do not like. But if you have something, let us know. Somebody can fill in, help you, and even when you come back, somebody can also bring you up to speed. So I always advise students, communication is the key. Just communicate. It's really gonna help you. Yeah. So can we take a break if we don't have
Hello.
any questions? Yes.
Probably I'm seeing a series of abbreviations here on the screen, but I can't understand them.
Okay.
Don't know
That's
what
why I
they
said let's
stand.
take a break because we are coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Ade, go ahead, please.
I want
Andres,
to
let me mute
ask,
you.
is a business
Our training, we will go through the RMF, they call it Risk Management Framework. Okay, RMF, Risk Management Framework. And that's why I lay emphasis that a lot of us will be working managing organizations' risks. Okay. So, but why are we managing those risks? I said that if not for the fact that we have these regulatory bodies, I tell you, organization will not care. They wouldn't. Because in as much as we have these regulations, you know, with all the different fines they've put, still organizations still kind of have relaxed systems. And that's why the training will focus so more on different core bodies. When you're looking for a job, organizations adhere to different regulations. Okay. So now we are going out towards the compliance session at a basic level. Then Rehan's on training will start with RMF, where we'll focus more on this for the US government, but a lot of people actually adhere to this. And the beautiful thing, though, we're going to talk about NIST. If you can understand NIST controls, you can, that's it. Cybersecurity in a nutshell is all about security controls. So as I said, it doesn't matter which frameworks and organization or regulations an organization goes with. At the end of the day, it's all about security control. So we all speak the same language. And guess what? We are doing that to meet CIA Triad. And that's why I said earlier that all the frameworks actually focuses on the core security principle. That's the principle of CIA Triad. That's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay? We're talking about these acronyms. Let's delve into it and then discuss it. First, what is FISMA? FISMA stands for Federal Information Security Management Act. But what is it? It's a law requiring federal agencies in the US, guys, to protect their information systems using a systematic process for risk management. Imagine a school principal mandates safety measures for all classrooms. Each classroom, that's federal agency, must install cameras, lock doors, conduct fire drill, and come to think of all the different agencies we have in the US. DOD, um, CMS, I did work with Center of Medical Services, Energy, VA, you can name it. Right? Think of all the different agencies that they do have, right? But I don't want you to feel like, you know what, hey, I am not in the US. Maybe it's a US thing. No, it's not a US thing. And the training will definitely come handy, okay? But for us to delve deeper to talk on these regulations, there's something that we need to understand better. Do you see? FISMA is a law requiring federal agencies to protect their information systems. Okay? And that's why I'll have to pause for us to understand this. And for me to tell you that when you're working for an organization, you'll be working with information systems. Okay? So I'm working for this company. As I said, I'm a federal contractor, but I work with information systems. And that's where I want people to see how dynamic, like how robust GRC can be. Because you are talking of information system, think of all the thousands, hundreds of information system organization have. Do you think you'll be able to work on all those systems? No, you can't. Okay? And that's how our training is going to come. So, but talking about information system, what is an information system? It's a combination of hardware, software, people, processes, and data that work together to collect, process, store, distribute information. Is the backbone of how organizations manage, use, and share information to achieve goals. Come to think of it, we spoke about access control. We touched base on the components of access control, identity, authentication, as well as authorization. I said, if you want to log into your organization network, they have an information system, the identity access management system that help with users, credential and identity and granting the access to the system. That is an information system, right? But that information system actually comprises of a hardware, a software. You have people managing that system, processes, and the most important piece, data. Okay? That's an information system. And now security is becoming so interesting because when you have that information system, remember, we've talked on the risk level already. I don't want to take you people there yet. But if that system is collecting a lot of sensitive information, remember, we'll talk about risks. And that's why I want people to see security from this backend. Security is a more proactive approach where security is we are taking proactive measures, or we are being so cautious, but at the end of the day, we know that something might go wrong. And that's why you hear the word of the probability. But if it goes wrong, we already have things in place. And that way you start hearing of security controls based on the risk level, based on the type of information that system collect or house. Then you want to start measuring your risks as it ties to CIA Triad. And that's a project we're going to cover on Monday. And that's the same project, as I said, I have friends making one plus 140K categorizing information systems. Okay? But for us to fully understand this, talking about hardware, what is it? First, these are the physical equipment used in the system. For example, do you have a phone? A smartphone, that's a hardware. Your computers, servers, routers, your modem at home, those are all hardware that you can see, monitors and all those things, okay? So that's hardware. But what is software? I know we already know this, but I'm trying for us to understand information system better, so that when we get to the project where we'll be categorizing the information system, you will understand. This will definitely make sense, okay? Software programs and applications that processing and manage data. Databases. Do you know database is a software? Remember I told you people, when I go to Oracle website, I will download. Database is software. I will download it. I will come. I will have to install it on a server, which is a hardware component. Operating system. They are all, the software piece. Application. Come to think of all the applications you have on your phone. Do you know Google Map is an application? Chrome, just, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. Think of how many applications you as an individual have on your phone. I bet some of you might have 15 or 20. I guess some of you might have 15 or 20. Imagine just you as an individual have all 20, 15 or 20. Then I want you to think of how many applications or information system do you think an organization will have? Okay? Accounting software, Microsoft Excel is a software, Word documents is a software, PowerPoint slide, they are all software, the applications, okay? So I just want you guys to just get a background knowledge. Then talking about data, which is the most important piece, raw facts and figures that are processed into meaningful information. Customer name, email, purchase history, transaction details, phone number, date of birth, social security number, home address, you can name it. Okay? Again, part of information system. Then people, the users and administrators who operate and manage a system, IT staff, data analysts, end users, front end user. Maybe you are doing call center work. You are a user. You actually, you are a user for that system. Employees or customers. And you guys, we're gonna see it when we start developing policies. Then what of processes? The workflows and procedure that guide how data is collected, processed, and used. A bank's procedure for processing loan applications. Yeah, they definitely have a process in place, right? All of this put together give you an information system, okay? Type of information system now, we have transaction processing systems that handles routine business transaction. A supermarket checkout system recording purchases. I want you guys to know that now organizations have different information system for different purposes. And if you pay attention, I was just throwing word. I've been talking about PCI DSS. As of now, we know PCI DSS for financial. I just said organization that collect, process, or store credit card information, but it's not at the level of the organization. It's at the level of the information system. Remember when I told you all that when you go to the hospital will adhere to HIPAA high trust. They can also adhere to PCI DSS. So apparently that system that collects credit or debit cards must be in compliance with PCI DSS. So imagine you working up for that organization. It's not a name that I'm working for this organization. Now you are actually assessing and checking sure their information systems are intact. Okay, I for one, I've worked for more than 100 information systems. And there are still tons of systems that I don't even know my organization have. That I do not have access. Okay, so you guys need to look security from this aspect. And somebody might ask me, oh, wow, does it mean an organization is going to be in compliance with PCI DSS? No, it's that information system. And I'm saying so, not even taking people way ahead. It becomes so interesting when you start working with third-party vendors. I'm saying so because me, I'm too stubborn. When you work with a small organization where they want you to go with a particular vendor because that vendor already has a brand name. For example, Goldman Sachs, I had this experience where I worked for a small company as a senior consultant, managing or maturing their third-party process. So the co-founder actually reached out to me, Eunice, I want you to onboard this vendor. I want you to bring in this vendor. After I performed my due diligence, I told him no. And he was mad. Yeah, you are the co-founder, I'm the security guy, all right? Oh, do you know, no, that vendor is already a brand name. This vendor, Goldman Sachs is a big company. It handles Bank of America, Apple's, and like literally all these giant company one could imagine. But that's why I have to educate him that Goldman Sachs is a brand name. I am not onboarding. I am not bringing Goldman Sachs. What I am trying to bring is the kind of service that they render to us. That particular service did not meet our standards. Are you guys getting me? So it was that service, that particular information system that we are trying to bring because we needed it for a business to go operational. So I'm not going with a brand name, but there's a service that this vendor actually supplies that did not meet our standards. And third party is so interesting in that you might have the best of system, you might have the best of security controls, but if your vendor system is relaxed and crazy, your vendor risks are your risks. And that reminds me, guys, go and read on Target data breach. It was crazy. Go and read on Target data breach, then you understand what I'm saying. All right. So at this point, I'm laying emphasis here because I want people to see that no, you are working for the organization, but you're gonna be managing their risks across their different information systems. And don't be surprised that organization might have not only one system that needs to adhere to PCI DSS. They might have plenty of different systems. So you are there to help them. Okay. And that's the workload, because now think of it's crazy, because if you have like a high system, I tell you what, the minimum control you can have is over 2,000 controls for one system. How do you intend to access 2,000 controls? Remember, I told you for access control alone can take like 300 or 400. It's a high system. Oh, 1 minute. Kelly, stop. Everything on. Kelly, stop. Right. Sorry, my younger brother was doing something there. Right. So I don't even know what I was saying. Okay, I say if a high system, say if you're working with a high system, the minimum controls you can have is like 2,000 controls. And that's why I want people to see why GLC folks will always get a job. Because 2,000 controls, I cannot access 2,000 controls. One system, there are times you have more than 20 to 30 accessors accessing one system. Because if you want me, just units to access 2,000 control, when am I going to finish? Talk less that if I want to prepare that system to have or achieve PCI DSS compliance, do you know the number of artifacts, audit records, screenshot I'm going to collect from all the different stakeholders? These are like, we are talking, I think I dare you work with your organization. That's a lot. That's a lot for that system. Then think of all the different information system that you have, right? So another example of an information system has to do with, which one is this? Decision support system helps with complex decision making by analyzing data. A system predicting the best location for a new store based on customer demographics. And it's important because you cannot just bring everything and put it on one system. No, you don't do that. So you have a reason for that particular system. And that's why even when I work as a DBA, we have different databases. Those are information systems. It has their own controls. Okay. So I have to access those. Enterprise system integrate processes across departments, resource planning system, managing inventory, HR, finance. Cloud-based system hosted in the cloud for remote access, Google Workspace, or even Microsoft Azure, right? But let's look at some real-world example. An e-commerce website like Amazon using an information system that includes hardware, that data servers storing product catalogs, user data, and transactional logs. Software, a website interface, front-end and back-end software for inventory management. And that reminds me, something that you guys can do research. When you want to go to Amazon website, Facebook or something, first you go through an app on your phone, Edge or Google or Chrome or something. You go through that app, right? So how do you log in? What do you see at the level of Amazon when you want to shop? It's application to application. As a matter of fact, I'm owing you guys a video on TCP module at the level of the application that you can read it, right? So Amazon on its own, I don't know if you guys, if anybody has a business partner, remember you have different stores. When you go to Amazon, you just, put your search or your query, you have different results. But those information are stored in different information systems. Me and you, we might have the same doctor, we go to the same hospital. Your information might be stored and saved in a different information system than mine. Those are different information systems, okay? And then data, products, details, user accounts, order history, customer browse the site, seller update product listing, and IT staff maintain the system. While for processes, automated workflows for order placement, payment, processing, as well as shipping updates. Think of an information system as a restaurant. Hardware, again, this is for somebody that think I cannot understand IT. All right. I know some of us we are advanced already. I have to do this that way, IT. Anybody can understand IT. The kitchen equipment, stoves, refrigerators, and table represent your hardware. Software, hardware, those things you can touch and feel. Software, the recipe and point of sale systems. Data is the menu, ingredient inventory, and customer orders. People, the chefs. I'm a good chef. So when you're coming to San Antonio, make sure you call me, okay? The chefs with staffs as well as dinner. And then processes, the workflow of taking orders, cooking meals, and serving customer. Then a typical example, just for us to bring this to life, WhatsApp is an information system. Do we know that? It's an application, it's a major application, and it's an information system. Why do we say that WhatsApp is an information system? Because it integrates hardware, software, data, people, processes to enable communication. And this is what it does. What's the hardware? Without your phone, can you access WhatsApp? Without your laptop, can you access WhatsApp? WhatsApp is an application. It's a software that resides on the hardware component, right? And that's why you can have WhatsApp on these hardware devices, either on your phone, your tablet, your server, which house the WhatsApp data or application. And then, of course, the software now is the WhatsApp itself, as well as a back-end server managing communication. Data, I've sent people messages on WhatsApp that also fall under it. Who are the people? Do we have groups? Yes, we do have WhatsApp group. I have a lot of WhatsApp groups. We send us messages. What of the processes do you guys see end-to-end encryption? Because it still has to do with the flow of data. Collect, it transmit, it has data, message delivery, as well as notification processes. But talking about confidentiality, let's see how it relates to the concept of CIA Triad. And we are spending so much time because our project and everything we do has to do with information system. And those information system, we have to categorize it. We have to identify the risk level for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Then that would help us determine the type of security controls that goes to your system. Okay, that will help you determine. And that's why we see for an interview, everybody asks you, oh, how do you even identify risks? Tell me your process, how do you manage risks? You first of all manage risks by identifying your data type. What kind of information is it? Understanding your risk partial. And by so doing, you have to create policies, because with everything that I've discussed, if you do not have policy, then you don't even know which system they are named, where they reside, and all those things. And that's where you want to have policies, right? So with confidentiality, WhatsApp does enable end-to-end encryption. Integrity, of course, messages are sent and guaranteed to arrive unmodified or altered. And availability, you know how many servers WhatsApp do have, millions, that are still available, ensure uptime, just to make sure that you receive that message within seconds. And if you guys realize it, I think the FBI some months back, because I don't watch the news, my sister told me and some friends, WhatsApp was considered one of the most secure way of communicating here in the US, because even your regular messages is not secure, it's encrypted. So when I see people saying that they don't want to communicate on WhatsApp, you don't know. That's my main medium of communication, because it is secure. It enables end-to-end encryption. Okay. Facebook information, same thing.
Can I ask something about the WhatsApp?
Go ahead, please.
We have a lot of situations where people hack into people's WhatsApp, and you say it's the most secure. How do they do that? Because you'll see that someone will call you and send you a code as soon as you send it.
Why would somebody call you, send you a call, you are giving the person the code? Do you know that person?
Well, it has happened to a lot of people. I get calls and I pick it up immediately. That is a hacker.
It happened to my sister. My sister, they even locked one, like, I have so many sisters. It happened to one of them. They locked her out. They called that her grandma or somebody died and they collected money.
Yeah,
They
correct.
reached out to me and, there's just a way that the way I talk with my sister is different, right? We communicate in our local language, like pidgin English. And then the person was like communicating in English. I was like, okay, this doesn't sound right. Okay. It doesn't sound right. So, and I was the one that even called her, like, hey, do you know that your account is hacked? She didn't know because when I received that message, I have to put it in our family group and then I just have to update her, your account is hacked. And then I just have to put it on my stage and everything. But her account was hacked for like a week or plus, Yeah. And someone, I think somewhere she worked, they got her via her job. You have to pick shift or something. I don't know what happened, the story. But that's why I would say that, you see this thing of code, why will you give somebody your code? Why?
Mm.
Yeah. People do not pay attention. Even some people say that paper is not secure. You lied. Paper is 100% secure. Right? I always advise people, like somebody that shop a lot, even like, internationally, I don't want to put my credit card or my debit card. I go through paper to do all my online shopping. Okay? If you have paper, you have MFA, it is secure. But many a times, people go in with very weak password. They don't have MFA. And then when somebody trick you, you yourself will provide your info. So for WhatsApp is 100% secure, but now the people, and that's cybersecurity. Remember, we talk of social engineering. If not, go to our website, make sure you read the article I posted on social engineering. This guy will trick you. When they send the information, they give you a code. And when you provide that code, you are giving access. You are giving them access over your phone, and they will take and they will lock you out. So first thing, do not click on links. Do not. They might say you click on it, you click on it. Do not click on links. If somebody asks you for a code, do not provide that code. Okay? Don't do those things. And one thing I also said, what's that?
I was in a situation where I was looking for a flat to move into. I don't know. I went online and I was searching and I filled a couple of forms. And these guys with an Indian accent called, and I was traveling. I was in Atlanta. I was at the airport. They called me, told me they've got a flat for me. This is this. They want to do a check, background check. I should provide my whatever work number I provided. Then they came ask me for social security.
Thank you.
I asked them, why would you ask for my social security?
Thank you.
I thought they asked for the whole number. If you asked for four, maybe I would have given. Now, when you start asking for the complete number, I just told them, no, no, no. Let me check. I'll
Yep.
call you, or call me in 10 minutes. And they never called.
Yep. Yep. So you have to be careful. Even when my students were applying for jobs, you never provide your social security number, only the IHRO. Do they even ask social security number? They don't. Hiring process, do they? See, maybe your passport, like immigrant, maybe your green card or whatever. I don't think they'll be asked for social security number. So there are those things that you don't provide. I always tell them, do not. Even your home address. Some people will put your home address on resume. Are you for real? Why will you be putting your home address on resume? If you are applying and that job wanted to put your home address, create a fake email address, home address, and stop putting your personal information out there. And there are times you can check to see if your information is out there. I go with these folks. I think it's delete me. I pay it. They delete your information from all these, site. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we want to take advantage of, right? And likewise, Facebook also is an information system. And as I said, if you take your phone, I'm telling you, some of you might even have 20 or 30 applications. If you can have that, then come to think of the fact that organizations also have a lot of information system. But not to spend so much time. That's why I want us to understand this. I'm trying to run up this slide. We have a couple of slides to go. That way we can start a hands-on project next week, Monday. Okay. So somebody asked, what is FISMA? We said FISMA first is a US law that was enacted in 2002 that required federal agencies to develop, document, and implement programs to secure their information system. And that's why I wanted us to understand information system first before moving on to the different regulations. And it's not just about FISMA, all the different regulations. We're going to be working with information system, right? And the key point here applies to federal agency. But the beautiful thing though, the new NIST revision 5 will go there. They remove the word federated. Now anyone and everyone can adopt it. And even when they have the federal thing, there are a lot of companies. I work for, was it more of like a community college, more of like a state job. We were actually adhering to the NIST standards, okay? So what's the goal? Again, ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. That's why I said that the beautiful thing about cybersecurity is this relationship. It doesn't matter which framework or regulations we go with, the goal is to achieve CIA Triad. I think everybody in this class knows what CIA Triad is, right? But remember, these are laws. Imagine NIST have just put the laws there. Laws, done, do this, do that. Tell me, can you take that law? Can you take that, just let's say book? How will you even tell which one applies to your case? The fact that it's a law doesn't mean that. I want us to see at the level of information system. An information system that collects social security number, sensitive information, and an information system that just collects maybe email addresses. When you are implementing security controls, which will have, a lot of controls, is it A or B?
A.
Why A?
Social security.
Because it has sensitive information. So definitely we want to have enough controls to protect that system. This is just email. Who cares? If you have that system, it's email. You can get people email on like, it's pretty much, it's more of like not that sensitive. If you know my name, you know my company, you can definitely know the email I use. Okay. So this is why we need to understand that information systems have different severity or risk posture. But for us to be able to follow or implement FISMA, for us to be in compliance with FISMA, they have this guide, they call them NIST. NIST help us identify or be in compliance or follow these laws to identify which law actually speaks to my system. Because for that system that collect a lot of sensitive information, you have a set of laws that will tell you know what, if you are collecting the information, you have to do this. But for this one, the laws that actually will go to that system, I might not need it for my system. And that's why we need to have something as a guide. And that's why they call it is a standard or it's a guide that helps you implement or follow the FISMA laws. Okay. But what does NIST stands for? Oh, okay, I think the next slide we'll go over it. For FISMA still, they say, imagine FISMA as a school principal setting strict rules for student safety. Every classroom that the agency must follow these rules, like locking doors, monitoring highways, and giving emergency plan. But guess what? Somebody asked me, are we going to do RMF? These are all the RMF steps. Okay? And our training on Monday will start with RMF. So FISMA have these 6 steps that we need to cover in depth. And this is where cybersecurity starts. It doesn't matter which framework you go with, we will follow the same procedure. Those other framework might use their own terminologies or whatever, but it's the same. Once you understand it, you understand the others. That's the truth. Okay? And that's why FISMA said that first and foremost, I have put these laws. The law means that for me to stay in compliance, I have things that you need to do to be in compliance with FISMA. Then NIST did an incredible job by breaking down the step for us. That's why you hear the word risk management framework. We are managing an organization risk. And the very first thing that we're going to do is to be able to categorize systems. Do you see the reason why we talk of information system? You have to categorize system. You need to identify the importance of your system. Do you see? Is your system a low system? If your system a moderate system? If your system a high system? Based on the criticality or sensitivity of data that that system collects, house, or process, right? But not to even spend so much time going through all this stuff. But that's to tell you that FISMA, again, is just this law that the whole that agency need to adhere to. But still, we want to use NIST as a guidance to stay in compliance with FISMA, okay? But that being said, before even going to NIST, we also want to touch another thing they call it FedRAMP. But I'll tell you, in one of my first, before I even transitioned cybersecurity, an interview question was, Eunice, what is FedRAMP? That was a question they did ask me. Okay, FedRAMP, I'll tell you people, it is FISMA in cloud. Prior to people going cloud and storing data in cloud, first FISMA, when I was working as a DBA, everything was on-prem. On-prem mean like, we didn't know much about cloud, computing and all those things. But now I'll tell you what, everybody is going to cloud. And likewise, the cloud also comes with risks. It comes with weaknesses and vulnerabilities and limitations. And likewise, AI also coming, it comes with security risks. And because they are going to cloud, guess what? FedRAMP, it is just FISMA in cloud that's why I say FISMA in cloud, but for your cloud providers and their services. So if any cloud provider want to get any form of government information or they are processing it, they have to be in compliance with FedRAMP. That's why I say FISMA in cloud. Do you know why? Because they use the same NIST publication. So it doesn't matter when they talk of FedRAMP, FISMA, yes, you are in cloud, but they use the same NIST guidance to be in compliance with either FISMA or FedRAMP. But the law is just targeting cloud providers and their services, okay? So with that, FedRAMP is like restaurant health inspection for cloud providers. Before a federal agency can dine, use the service, the kitchen, cloud system must pass inspection to ensure cleanliness and safety. And for a cloud provider to even get contract with government using like accessing some data, they have to be in compliance with FedRAMP. I'll send you people the site. You go to FedRAMP Marketplace, you can read a lot. They have to be in compliance with FedRAMP. I hear the word, just to make sure that they've gone through, assess their system, their controls, everything looks good, then they can get a certification that they are in FedRAMP compliance, okay? But talking about NIST, what is NIST now? We've talked about two frameworks already. We've talked about FISMA, we've talked about FedRAMP, right? These are all laws, these are all regulations. But for us to adhere to this regulation, we need that guidance, man. We need it. I need to know, because if you look at this slide, it says that when we go through the RMS step, we need to assess our system to know its importance. If it's a low system, if it's a moderate system, if it's a high system. FISMA and FedRAMP have given you those laws. They did not tell you this system is a low system, this system is a moderate system, this is a high system. How will you be able to tell? And that's why NIST is coming, and NIST is giving that step by step. NIST is telling you, okay, you know what, this is what you're going to do to determine the criticality of your system and for you to stay in compliance or adhere with FISMA or FedRAMP. Guys, are you people good? I am tired, sure.
Sounds like information overload.
Yeah. All right. But we're good, right?
Very good.
All right, good. Yeah, we just need to understand this background knowledge, because when we start, we'll be talking about NIST, but we need to understand them, right? So NIST is the federal agency, National Institute of Standards and Technology. If you're following me on LinkedIn, you realize I post a lot because I follow them when they release any publication. I be the first to read. I don't know, as soon as I receive that notification, I got to read, and I have to do something to post it on LinkedIn. And this is something that I'll post. I always tell you, if you are part of US, you'll be a student, when you're looking for that job, as I'm training professionals, you have to increase your visibility. There are things that you got to be posting. Don't just go to ChatGPT and post. Because if I tell you people the number of folks like executive owners that will reach out to me just to find out if I'm in the job market, I tell them no. And the beautiful thing though, when you post like that, especially when you are that on top of your game, I have the director for my company sharing my post, liking my post, commenting on my post, right? And I always tell people, when you work with the organization, you want to place yourself there. Even when they are firing people, even when they are laying people off, they know this person is an asset for this company. It's not a liability. Okay? So that's the mindset I have. I always try to educate myself better. I always try to be there. I always try to put something on the table. If I'm working for the organization, you have to feel my impact. That's the truth. And that's exactly the impression I have with my current company. Okay? So NIST is a federal agency that develops standards, guidelines, and best practices for technology and cybersecurity. It provides a comprehensive set of tools to manage risks and secure systems. But you see, NIST published security frameworks like NIST 853. If there's anything you have to forget today, forget everything we discussed, but I want you to master this word, NIST 853. They actually calling NIST special publication 853, but we silence the special publication. So NIST actually break down FISMA or FedRAMP in a form of special publication and FIPS that we're gonna cover. But for now, let's talk about the special publication. So you have that step-by-step publication that will tell you when you are going through the risk management life cycle, you have the respective NIST publication that you will use. For example, if you want to categorize information system that you guys will do it on Monday, we have to go through the NIST 800, they call it 60 volume 2. And it associated FIPS. We'll discuss FIPS shortly. But do you see this guy? This is what I was referring to, NIST 853. It has security controls. And I've told you people, Debbie, can you mute, please? I've told people that cybersecurity is all about security controls. If you understand security controls, guys, you are good to go. Okay? And remember, when I told you people that FedRAMP is FISMA in cloud, because of this thing. Because the same set of controls that will go for a high system, low system, moderate system, on-prem is the same thing that will go to cloud system. And that's why I use the word FISMA is FedRAMP in cloud, because it actually uses the same standard of controls that NIST have. And this is a document that, a living document that we will work, live hands-on. Okay? So for us to be able to determine at every step what we need to do for that system, NIST has published these publications that we need to use to be able to determine. Okay? And that's why if we go back, I said NIST has published these different publications. So NIST 853, I'm going to ask you on Monday, it contains security controls. And by now, let me ask, do we even understand what security controls are? What are security controls? We was preaching a lot about security controls. What are security controls? Do we know or we don't know?
Control and just safeguard.
Guardrails?
What?
Guardrails to limit access to, just a guardrail. Don't go here, or those things that will allow or will not allow access.
Okay, what are example of controls? Can you give me some controls?
Password.
Passwords?
Password.
Two-phase authentication.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Restricted access.
Yeah. Yep. So controls are just proactive measures that organizations do implement to protect their assets or information system. Remember that information system that has everything, hardware, because we're protecting hardware, software, data, people, literally everything. So you are putting those to protect that information system. Make sense? And that's why I said that one of their main thing, believe me or not, most job you will find out there, description, you have NIST 853, you have ISO 27001. And an equivalent, though I don't have it on my slide, for US federal agency, we are talking about FISMA and FedRAMP. But for European Union, the framework is GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. Okay? But for you to also know which laws pertain or speak to your system, they have different series. NIST is talking about special publication. ISO is talking about series. And one of those that is equivalent to the NIST 153 is ISO 27001. My student will always say ISO 27000. ISO 27001 contains set of controls. Okay, and I'm making the connection that way we can see. If you work with an organization that you guys are here to ISO, NIST, or whatever, we start performing what they call you are mapping controls. You perform gap, you map those controls, and then you realize that it's the same. Okay, then realize it's pretty much the same. So it doesn't matter what you do. So all those things don't even stress, because that's something that you guys are going to see. It will play out. Okay. So, and if you look here, NIST is like a recipe book for cybersecurity. Very important. It gives detailed instruction on bake a secure system, but it's up to organization to choose which recipe fits their needs. You understand? Because if I am having a low system that collects always email, and I have another system that collects social security number and high sensitive information, of course, I need to know which system fits or recipe fits my needs, right? Not everything. And that is exactly what NIST does. And remember, again, the NIST 853 is a catalog of security control, like a toolbox for security systems. Why the NIST 837 is literally a RMF life cycle. Explain how to apply the RMF to manage risks. And then you also hear at time of the NIST 800-171, security standard for non-federated organization handling federal data. If you are not a federal agency, but you are also handling federal data, then you need to adhere to the NIST 800-171. But this, I don't want you to stress for now. All I want you to do, make sure, just think of NIST 853 has set of security controls. You are good, because these are things that we're going to work, again, as I said, hands-on. Okay. Then there's another concept that we're going to introduce, that is FIPS. So I did say briefly what NIST does is, so NIST will break FISMA and FedRAMP into two things. First is the NIST special publication, and then the next one is the FIPS. But a beautiful thing, the way you look at it, right? FIPS summarizes NIST, NIST summarizes FISMA or FedRAMP. Okay, that's how it works. So most NIST publication, special publication that you will read, that the first publication we're going to work on, I'm going to send the link to your class group, and then I expect everyone to watch a video before Monday, please, guys. That way, because again, as I said, we're going to be working. If you guys can watch it, then we can use 1-2 hours, split you guys into group where people can work, and then I'll do breakout rooms. You guys can work on it, and then we try to discuss everything. I'll give people like our hands-on project. This is the first time I want to do that. Okay. So what NIST does is that NIST literally summarizes this, it breaks it down into two different docs. The first one is a NIST special publication, and then the next one is FIPS. And FIPS stands for Federal Information Processing Standards, right? So what FIPS does is literally summarizing NIST for you. For example, on Monday, as I said, we will learn how to categorize an information system using NIST 860 volume 2. That's the linked document, and it associated FIPS 199. But the truth is, when you go to the NIST document, man, it's like about 65 pages or so. How do you want to start reading 65 pages and then just to understand? And that's why FIPS has summarized that 55 pages, 65 pages to like 20 pages or 23 pages. So just by you reading the FIPS, It already tells you what you'll be looking for in your NIST, and we will see that hands-on. Okay, so FIPS in a nutshell, it summarizes NIST for you. So for us to link this, NIST summarizes FIPS. FIPS summarizing this for you, while NIST summarizes FISMA and FedRAMP. Okay? But these are not things that I expect you people to be thinking, oh, I have to memorize. No, it's going to come handy. I'm just trying to put the information. And if it's too much, again, you can go back, take time, watch this video, make your note. That way you have this background knowledge. Okay?
Good night.
All right. So this, I'm not really going to focus because, again, these are things that we're going to do hands-on. About one people, if people can watch the video, because FIPS, we're going to talk about the impact level of low, moderate, or high, something that we've touched briefly, you know, how to categorize an information system. Then let's just see how this works together. First, FISMA set a requirement for securing federal system. FedRAMP applies to those requirements to cloud services. NIST provided frameworks and control to meet FISMA or FedRAMP standards. FIPS ensure encryption and security practices are standardized and effective. So do you see? It's just a chain, okay? So then the last thing we're going to introduce has to do with STIGs. STIGs, Security Technical Implementation Guide. This one, we're not even going to spend much time there. So what STIGs does is, right, NIST, for example, NIST will just give you things that you need to do. For example, FISMA have just said that, you know, organization need to have, like, you know, talking about password, we are accessing data and all those things. They pass a law about password. Then NIST will come and tell you, know what, organization needs to make sure they have a complex password and everything. But NIST is not going to tell you how you go about implementing that password or what is required. What is, like, how complex your password could be. So NIST is just going to give you more generic, elaborate, make sure you do this, la, 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 la. But guess what? STIG is the implementation guide. So STIG is going to tell you, okay, NIST have said that you need to have a strong password. But for you to have a strong password, that password needs to be 8 characters, maybe uppercase, lowercase, and special characters. So that's why they call it the implementation guideline. And of course, this document is being developed by the US Department of Defense and up to date. A lot of companies, you guys will see it out there, is online. I did work on a project where I actually got it online, okay? So FISMA require agencies to secure their information system using a risk-based approach. STIG help meet this requirement by providing baseline security controls. And there's one word, I know you guys are tired. There's one word I'm going to introduce, that word called baseline. Baseline is an important thing in security. Each time, whatever thing we are doing, starting on Monday, we're going to actually make sure we stick to the baseline. Does anybody know what a baseline is? Who want to try?
Baseline, let's say baseline control is that a minimal security control that the system needed.
Excellent. That's the minimum control or requirements for that system. So do you see when we talk of baseline? When you hear that this information or you are not in compliance because maybe you did not meet the baseline. So what this thing have done is they say STIG help meet this requirement. So FISMA require agencies to secure their information so they're using a risk-based approach. STIG actually set that baseline. So you have that baseline that you cannot go, you can go above, but you can never go like below, no. So for you to be in compliance, they've set the baseline. And you guys, you'll see as of Monday, when we categorize the information system, if it's a low, high, or moderate, we have a baseline that we have to follow. If you don't meet that baseline, then you are not in compliance. Okay, and that's why I say, oh, not in compliance, or in compliance, or whatever. So baseline are the minimum requirements. Okay, and then NIST define the security controls. STIG provide detailed implementation instruction to configure those controls. Do you see? NIST have listed those controls, provide description on the controls, but how do I even go about implementing the controls? For example, NIST will tell you that when you go to unsuccessful login, right? Say if you log in multiple times, put in a wrong password, NIST will not tell you the number of times that you need to put. Okay, NIST will just tell you, okay, make sure you have these. But STIG will tell you, know what, that baseline is 3. If a user put in a wrong password 3 times, lock them out of your account. Or say inactivity. If you are idle, maybe a user is inactive, or during a period of like, I'll say 5 minutes, log them out. NIST would not tell you the baseline, would do not tell you that frequency, but STIG would put that standards. Okay, the NIST does a good job by explaining the control, listing those control, then STIG will come and give us the baseline. Are you guys with me? Are we together? Okay, remain just 2 slides and you guys are done. Are we together or we're not? Too much of information.
We are still together.
Yeah.
I guess we are tired. Okay, let's keep it, right? I know that's a lot of information. So I'm trying to find out you guys have a long weekend to read this. But the hands-on will be so interesting. Okay. So, and I also have video where I'll say go to the playlist. I have video for each of these things too. I have video for FISMA, FedRAMP, NIST. I have like short 5 or 3 minutes videos, like that we have on YouTube that you guys can watch. Yeah, but a beautiful feature with STIGs, huh?
Can you please share the website and the WhatsApp group?
Do you have my number? Send me a message on WhatsApp on my number, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I've never shared our website. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. So even vulnerability management, so whatever thing we do, the beautiful with STIG, right? Imagine that organization have different hardware, different software. So STIG will tell you the implementation standard for each of those components. All right. So in a nutshell, just to summarize this up, FISMA and FedRAMP are the laws. NIST summarizes those laws, provides standard and guidance for us to, achieve FISMA or FedRAMP. And the course of doing so, NIST actually does so in the form of NIST special publication as well as FIPS, where FIPS summarizing NIST. But for us to talk about STIG, that's the implementation guideline, like it literally gives us a baseline as to how we go about, staying in compliance or achieving NIST requirements. And I think I'm going to end here. I'm not going to proceed. And just to give you guys hints, if I can log on to the website and show you people something real quick in preparation for your Monday class. That way, when you watch a video, you should be able to this is something for those who will enroll, definitely have to walk you guys through, so this is the main course that will start with compliance package. And again, we are also revamping. You see, we have all the core thing that we covered. So all right. So see, I think we have like different, if you realize, we have lessons, and each of those lessons we have videos where you see like that, know that we already have videos. And when you click on the lesson, we have material for somebody that asks. Okay, so yeah, so you are covered. We literally have all of this already. You see, STIGs, we have all of this. GRC, even what we've covered, we have it still on the website for those who would like to watch it. And if you see, for example, this a student's project, and this is what the project looks like. We have a system description. We have the FIPS 199. So it's a very, again, since I said I'm going to give you people for free, so I can as well open it. That way, let's see what we have, okay? So I'll expect people to watch that video, and then hopefully guys help me watch both videos again, understand this concept. When you guys come on Monday, I will use 1 hour to explain this concept, and then I will give you people this scenario to work on. But because I know this system, I think we have close to 21 information types, right? So what I will do, I will just create something, and then I want you people to identify the information types. And when you are identify the information type, we have a system name and everything, though, like it's a lot. So once you identify the information type, you people will have to categorize it based on how they call low, moderate, or high. I will give you people the necessarily NIST publication that you guys will need. Okay. I'll give you people the necessary NIST publication that you guys will need. For example, this website, I'm gonna send it to you guys. My eyes, I don't even see well. This is gonna be one of your most powerful websites, even when you are working. Okay, you will bookmark it for life. So remember what we've covered already. Using NIST, information technology, this is their resources. Remember, we'll talk about special publication, then we'll talk about FIPS, right? So when you click here, we'll have a special publication, but these are some of the things that we'll cover. And I think we already have it on videos, form of our video on YouTube. Each document that you want to get from this website, you need to make sure the status shows final. If it's final, you don't want to take something that is still in the draft form, okay? So final, you scroll down. If you go, you will see NIST 853, where we talk, it has to do with security controls, okay? So for NIST 853, right here, security and privacy control for information system and organization. But the document that we will work, I will share this document that if you watch a YouTube video, you can start practicing. I think I might just also put the assignment, and then I will randomly split you people, into rooms. So what we're gonna use is this one, NIST 860 Volume 2, Guide for Mapping Types of Information System to Security Categories. Okay, but I'll provide all of this info. Again, I'm just showing. So once you go to this website, you take SP, you will download this document, and then with the associated FIPS document, you should be good. So for Monday, I'll try, make sure, hopefully by tomorrow or Friday, I'll send you people your projects. First project that we're gonna work on, I'll just keep it, very basic. But if you watch the video, and then I will also teach again. That way we can do breakout rooms and see if we can understand and identify information types and categorize it. If you can do it, then see yourself making 140K. Then when you start making that 140K, make sure you remember this